Slash versus Vinnie Vincent. In the world of guitar players, guitar wizards, guitar heroes, we're constantly comparing our favorite six stringers, and that's what we're going to do here today on the Sight Sounds Flavors YouTube channel. If at any point in time you like the video, smash that like button. Please subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications, and leave your comments down below, because how else am I going to know who you pick, Slash or Vinnie Vincent? So before anything, let's talk about the bands that they're in. All right, number one, Saul Hudson, aka Slash, part of Guns N' Roses, Rock and Roll Hall of Famers, also Velvet Revolver, also Slash's Snake Pit, and some other projects, I'm sure. Vincent Cusano, Vinnie Vincent, named by Gene Simmons, played with Dan Hartman, Felix Cavalier, saved Kiss in 1982, and again in 1989-ish for Revenge. Put together the hottest band of 1986, the Vinnie Vincent Invasion. Fronted originally, classic lineup, Robert Fleischman, Vinnie Vincent, Bobby Rock, and the bass player. Later, they switched out vocalists, and it really wasn't the same as that original classic lineup. But again, Vinnie Vincent Invasion, Kiss, Felix Cavalier, Dan Hartman, pretty extensive resume. Both guys have star-studded resumes. Both guys have, the big record deals. They both have the fast cars. They were both like mobbed by beautiful women. Now the question is, which one's a better guitar player? Now I would say Vinnie would be a more skilled guitar player, I think. Technically, I would say a lot superior to Slash. He didn't need a top hat. He didn't have to play on top of a grand piano. This is a guy that did it all with his hands, the pick and the fretboard. And I got to tell you, it's also kind of like, different equipment. Slash known being a Les Paul man, Vinnie known being a Jackson man. That Jackson Flying V is iconic. Anywhere you go in the world, Sri Lanka, Somalia, Siberia, they see that hot pink Flying V guitar and they think of Vinnie Vincent. Whereas, Slash has got the Les Paul like Ace Frehley did and some other people. The reality of the matter, though, I think that in terms of showmanship, I would say Slash is probably, he's got the Marlboro Red dangling from his lip. He doesn't smoke anymore, but he used to. He has, get on top of the piano. He's got the top hat, a bunch of tattoos, a leather jacket, kind of looks like that disheveled homeless guy at the bus station kind of look. And plus they had, they would tear things up, a lot of theatrics with Guns N' Roses, and I know they kind of frown on Kiss, and, they frown on Iron Maiden and all that because they have like dragons and stuff like that and like themed characters. But really they were kind of goofy like that too, because, they would trash dressing rooms. And I saw on MTV, they trashed the whole set one time, and they had a little top hat going on and the leather jackets and all that and the cigarettes. And, so I would say in terms of production value, in terms of kind of like that poser vibe, I would say that Slash would get it, But in terms of musicianship, creativity, also, I don't know how much Slash wrote of Guns N' Roses. I know Izzy wrote a lot, Axl wrote a lot. I don't know how much actually Slash wrote, but in terms of writing, Vinnie is a lyricist, he's a musician, he can put together arrangements, producer. So again, I would say that from a technical standpoint, I don't think really there's much to talk about. I think Vinnie Vincent just wipes the floor with Slash. But I think from a more theatrical perspective, more a visual perspective. Although if you look at Vinnie back from the classic lineup of the Vinnie Vincent Invasion, when they did Boys Are Gonna Rock, visually, you can't ask for more than that. But I think that was just a period of the Invasion. That look, from what I understand, only lasted for that one particular shoot. And which is really sad because, if they had never had that look, Robert Fleischman, original lead singer, frontman of the Invasion, probably never would have left, because he didn't want all that, all that crazy hair and all the outfits and all that. He was just more about, singing and just kind of like getting the Invasion fan base riled up. And so sadly, though, that look, that look only lasted a couple of months, but sadly, Robert Fleischman would leave the band. But again, afterwards, if you look at later Invasion albums, or if you look at later Invasion, I shouldn't say albums, they only had 2 albums, but if you look at the second album, or you look at even that first album when they went on tour, they didn't look like they did on the Boys Are Gonna Rock video. So they kind of just looked like a regular rock band, you know. They weren't wearing like you know, spandex, or you know, they didn't have you know, any kind of top hat going on, or anything like that. You know, they didn't have a bunch of chains or anything. They weren't constantly smoking. In fact, Vinny was a very healthy, conscious person, you know, and always has been, and so have Gene and Paul. So they didn't have all the booze bottles everywhere like Guns N' Roses did. They weren't passing out, you know. You know, they weren't like 4 hours late and caused riots, you know. And the Invasion could have caused riots. I mean, they had places like in Connecticut where they were bigger than the Beatles, you know what I mean? Because, you know, Vinny is from Connecticut, Bridgeport, Connecticut. And, you know, if the Invasion would have headlined a show at somewhere in Bridgeport there, and would have been like 30-40 minutes late, there would have been pandemonium on the streets of Bridgeport, Connecticut. They would have had to bring in the cops from Newark and Orange and Elizabeth and all that. So the reality of the matter is that, you know, Vinny is a lot more professional, I would say, than Slash. Excuse me, I keep saying Saul, I'm sorry. That's his name, but really his name is Slash, which is kind of a goofy name, honestly. And, you know, he auditioned for Kiss and didn't get it. You know, they told him, you know, you're too young, you know, you don't have the chops that we need. You don't have the skills that we need. You know, they basically told him that he was too young, but that's kind of like a concession that you tell somebody. You know, you don't want to tell them, listen, you know, this is a multi-platinum rock band. I mean, you look like, you know, a hitchhiker, you know what I mean? So I think that the reality of the matter is that they kind of let him down softly, but then he was talking all sorts of trash about Paul, and then had the audacity to ask Paul about some free guitars, and Paul was just like, you know, don't hang your dirty laundry out for all to see, and then cursed him out and hung up on him. But I think now they're cool. But the reality of the matter is that, I mean, if you want a comparison in guitar skills, and, you know, you know, some people are going to troll me and say, oh, you're a big Vinny fan, whatever, and I am. I mean, how could I not? You know, the Invasion sold over 393,000 units of that first record, and it was the hottest band of 1986. But the thing is, it's not just me being a big fan of the Invasion. Look at Kiss. Both men auditioned for Kiss. Slash didn't get the gig, and Vinny did. So it's just one of those things. Eddie Van Halen wanted to be in Kiss. They didn't want Eddie. They had already found the guitar hero of the 1980s, and his name was Vinnie Vincent. So the reality of the matter is that you can't just base everything on record sales. I know that a lot of people like to do that. And I know that there's a certain intrinsic value to that, because, again, you would say, look, the people have spoken. But it's not really the people have spoken. It's marketing. You know, you can't compare what Geffen did for Guns N' Roses to what Chrysalis did for the Vinnie Vincent Invasion. Chrysalis was not a metal label. Geffen was. Geffen had all sorts of people. So, you know, a lot of it was the magazines. It was getting the DJs to play the songs. It was getting the promos out. It was getting enough CDs out, getting on college radio. And now Chrysalis did a good job. If you listen to Bobby's interview on Three Sides of the Coin, they did all that, but they just couldn't do it to the level of a Geffen or an Elektra. So the reality of the matter is that you cannot really say that just because, you know, Guns sold more than the Invasion, that Slash is a better guitarist than Vinny. That's just not accurate, at least not for me. So again, if I had to pick between Slash and Vinnie Vincent, I would pick Vinnie Vincent. Not now, but then. That's another distinction. Not now, but then. You know, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 91, 2, 3. Right there. That gap right there, that area right there, that Vinnie Vincent versus the Slash of that time frame, I would go with Vinnie Vincent. What about you?